Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to talk about the most underrated muscle building tool. Before I get into this topic, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. The best topic ideas I turn into videos just like this. If you need coaching, I'd love to work with you. Check out the link down below. All right. So there's many different muscle building tools. You can use things like run the rack, run the stack. You can use things like drop sets, especially on the last set of an exercise. There are a lot of great muscle building tools that are not essentials. There are very few essentials when it comes to muscle building. Having a reasonable exercise selection, a reasonable amount of volume, training consistency, progressive overload, nailing your nutrition, and having a reasonable degree of exercise form. We all know what the core essentials are for muscle building, but there is one tool that I feel should be should be worthy of your consideration when it comes to muscle building. Now, I'm not saying it is an essential, but I'm saying it is a very impactful tool, and I believe a very underrated tool. Something I've used a lot in my own training, and I feel can increase the hard training factor. It can take hard training to the next level and really make your average rep quality go up. Now, I'm going to get into it in just a second, but before I do, I want to say it is not for every exercise. This tool is not something you need to use on every exercise, or even that you should use it on every exercise. This tool is rest pause training. Rest pause training. I'm going to explain what it is. There's many different ways to incorporate rest pause training, but let me start by framing it like this. You have straight sets, something like 3 sets by 8 on Pendley rows or 3 sets by 10. And then you can take the same amount of reps, do them rest pause style, and increase the average rep intensity. So let me explain. Let's say you're doing 3 by 10 on bench press. We all know the first few reps are rather easy, and then the intensity starts to creep up towards the end. On rest pause, what we basically do is we start with our same 10 reps like we would on a normal set, whatever. We're just using this as a generalization. And then once the set is done, we rest very briefly. We don't allow the muscles involved in the lift to fully recover. This rest period should be short enough just to rack, take a deep breath, gain your senses, and get back after it again. I have a rest pause protocol that I call the bulldozer system, and usually you rest about 10 to 15 seconds between mini sets. And a mini set is doing your regular set, then resting briefly, then doing this tack on or add on or mini set. Now in rest pause, using this bench press example, you do like your first 10 reps, and then you would rest 10 to 15 seconds. And before you fully recover, you're doing more reps again. So you can continue to do this in a series of what's called mini sets, 2, 3, 4, or even 5. In the massive iron world, we have bulldozer training, which is 5 total mini sets. So you do the first big effort, and then you do another series of rest 10 to 15 seconds, a mini set, rest 10 to 15 seconds, a mini set, and you do that for 5 total sets. Now, what ends up happening, I know this can sound a little bit confusing. What ends up happening is we end up getting about the same number of reps using the rest pause style as we would with straight sets. So if we were doing 3 by 10 on straight sets, rest pause, we would probably get about the same number of reps, right? We'd get around 30. We don't need to be perfect, but what happens is the average rep quality goes up. The set intensity goes up. Now, we're not talking about intensity, meaning weight relative to 1 rep max here. But the average rep intensity goes up, and that increases the average set intensity. On a straight set, you're doing your 10 reps, and the first few are just rather easy. you're going to have about maybe 50% of your reps on straight sets that feel a little bit easier. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you have progressive overload in the mix. It's a great way to train, but rest pause, you're going to push it to the limit. You're going to push it close to failure. We don't train to failure in the massive iron world, but you're going to push for max safe reps. Number 4, you get a chance to fully recover. You're pushing again, and then you rest just briefly, 10 to 15 seconds, and you're pushing again, and you're repeating and repeating. So you're going to get about the same number of reps as you would with like 3 sets by 10 reps, but the average rep intensity is going to increase. Does that make sense? So while rest pause isn't magic, it is increasing the intensity of your training. It's taking hard training and it's making it harder training. Now, I just want to say a few things as an end note. Rest pause can be basically molded any way you want. Depending on the exercise, you can change the rest in between sets. You can add on as many mini sets as you want. You can keep it going. In the first iteration of what I call bulldozer training or my rest pause style, I tried this in about 2008 and I ran it for a full year. I found it made my muscles so much more sore than just standard training. So that was an indication that I was really pushing things hard. I was pushing my muscles hard in a way that they weren't used to. And in this first iteration of bulldozer training, what I would do is like progressively expand the rest periods over time. Whereas in the bulldozer system now, we have about 10 to 15 seconds of rest in between mini sets. Back then, I would do, say, 10 to 12 reps on my first set, rest 30 seconds, do a max safe reps, rest 30 seconds, do max safe reps, rest 60 seconds, then 90 seconds. So I would have an expanding rest period. This is a great way to do rest pause as well. The more fatigued you get, the more you increase the rest in between sets on an exercise. This expanding rest period is a great tool. And we can't get caught up on the rest periods. They don't always have to be uniform, right? The goal here, and what we should always remember when using an intensity technique like this, the goal isn't necessarily precision. The goal is always a focus on hard training. Always, no matter what you do in the muscle building world, keep your focus on hard training and progressive overload. Now, there are some exercises where it doesn't make sense to do rest pause training, where actually unracking or unloading the weight and reloading it can be extremely tedious. Squats, for example, that would be a difficult exercise to do rest pause on because the actual act of racking the weight and preparing and unracking is going to be almost as taxing as doing the rep work itself. So you have to kind of use common sense when you're doing rest pause and adjust based on the exercise. If you have any questions about rest pause training, please drop them down below or follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. So guys, hope this video has been of some help. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. If you made it this far in this video and have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. I'd appreciate the support. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.